This episode of the ChatGTM podcast is brought to you by Budget Branders, your source for custom branded cups and bags. So what makes them unique? Well, they source using a hybrid supply model, they import to keep prices low, and they have domestic backup to fill in the gaps. Learn more at budgetbranders.com or connect with Budget Branders on LinkedIn. And now it's time for the show. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, or whatever time you happen to be chiming in here and taking notice of what we're doing here at the ChatGTM podcast. I'm your host, Michael Beck, and I'm with Ink Tank GTM, bringing you some of the top stories, industry influencers, trends, and things that are happening in the restaurant, hospitality, and retail space to help shine a light on good stuff, good people, and things that you should care about. And with me today, as almost always, is my business partner in crime, Mr. Chad Horn, the guy with the great background. Chad, how you doing today?
I'm good, Beck. I am looking forward to our conversation today. I think it's the very beginning or near the beginning of this new path, this story and arc we're on in terms of bringing light to important topics on the industry.
Tell me about this arc. I know what it is, but like tell people why we're doing this, what we care about, what's this path, and why they should be
There's a
paying
lot of
attention.
ways to answer that question. I'm going to
You know the way I want.
I know I'm not going to give you that way. I'm going to give you a different way. So we spend a lot of time talking about technology, obviously, for anyone who tunes in. And I would say, especially because of AI over the last, few years, especially last year,
Tell me about it. Yep.
it's impacting all people, all companies, all industries, all roles. And so it is becoming more relevant, just the general technology thing, more relevant to everybody. So even if we're talking about something that isn't necessarily tech, like today, it's going to come up, right? And so, and then that's part of it. The other part of it is like any organization, I think people are realizing this as they kind of butt up against technology, needs to still take care of its people. It still needs to lead people. People are ultimately the glue. And so
Preach. Yep.
we are going to be spending more time for multiple reasons on talking to people who lead people and people who know about what makes organizations really thrive, and such as our guest today. And then I know where you were going for. I'll give a nod to Prosper, one of our favorite organizations in the industry.
Yeah.
It takes that stuff super seriously and is actually having impacting change in that regard. So all of that comes together today on today's.
Way to set the table. I absolutely love it.
Well,
Good
you're going to
job.
set the table better with a reading of our guest.
Well, I think here's another prosperism. We're going to build a better table together, and let's
Okay.
just see how that was shameless. All right. So with that in mind, everybody, the cringe is out of the way, at least for now, but let's talk about somebody that's really interesting. And today's guest is Mrs. Jazmine Charles. Jazmine spent over 15 years in the trenches as a top performing account executive, closing deals and driving revenue for Fortune 100 companies. Now she's flipped the script. She's the head of people and partnerships at Disrupt Foods, the team behind brands like Papa John's and Wingstop, where the mission isn't just growth, it's building people, creating opportunities, and driving real community impact. And what's fun about this conversation is where it's going to go, from closing deals to building ecosystems, from hitting quota to building something that actually lasts. And we get into why most partnerships fail, how to actually build ones that work, and why, in a world that is more and more about AI, that people are more important than ever. With that in mind, Jazmine Charles, welcome to the show. We're excited to talk to you today.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here, guys.
You're very welcome. We're excited to have you here. So how are you today? Where are you calling in from? And then Chad, you can take it away from there.
I am in the fabulous Garden State, so I am in New Jersey. We finally got some beautiful weather after Mother
Are the
Nature.
streets drying up? It was like flooding over there.
Oh my goodness, it was horrible, but we are good today.
Awesome.
So happy hump day.
Awesome. Happy hump day indeed. Chad, take us over the conversational hump.
So I have the fun honor of asking the first question, and I'm gonna start here because I just want to. So reading about you, Jazmine, you have this ACEs only philosophy, and like that can strike people in our industry as like, what? Like, how do you hold the standard for ACEs only when turnover is what it is in this industry? It's hard to get bodies, let alone ACEs. So talk us through that. Like, how do you What is this only standard, and how do you achieve it in the real world?
So we are a people first organization, right? And sometimes people in QSR gets overlooked. Everything else gets prioritized. But what we have learned, rightfully so, by tripping over our own feet and making a few um, different decisions. We've learned that when you invest in your people, they invest back in you. Right. So you're never going to get a full staff that is as invested and dedicated to the business and to the brand as you are, which, this could be a job for them. This could be a career, but we treat everybody, as if we want you to feel like this is the best job you've ever had. Whether you've come here because you need to pay your tuition, you need to pay for kids' daycare, right? Or you're looking for a new career, no matter what, we are going to invest in you so that when you leave, if you leave a much better professional than you came in. And that starts with the culture, right? So when we say A players, we set the expectation from day one, right? And we pour into you with training, development, side by side learning, and high expectations, and all the tools that you need to be successful to ensure that you can meet that expectation, right? We don't expect you to come in and automatically know how to make the perfect pizza. We don't expect you to know how we don't expect you to come in and know immediately how to perfectly sauce and toss the new LTO for the summer, right? But what we do expect you to is to want to do a good job, to strive to do a good job, and to commit to thriving in a culture that excellence is the expectation, not above and beyond.
Jasmine, it strikes me so hard that we invest so much money in technology and solutions and better menus and design and marketing and all these things to capture new guests and what have you and bring them in the door for the first time. But it seems like it's painfully evident that we lack intentionality across the board in a lot of parts of our industry to evolve the people side of the business.
Mhm.
Churn is more than 100% a lot of places. Why do you think that we're making some of the wrong bets? And I'm gonna say they're the wrong bets, right? Because I think who said it, "If you take care of your people will take care of the business, or the
Absolutely.
business will take care of itself." So why do you think that we're missing the boat on this? Or why is it we're focused on so many other things than just get our people taken care of?
So you can't you can't scale a culture that you haven't defined, right? And culture is not something that self corrects. You either raise the bar or you dilute it, right? And the
And it
minute you
defines itself, and that's the worst thing, right?
yes, and the
Yeah.
minute you understand that people operations is up here with restaurant operations, you're moving in the right direction,
Mhm.
right? So that is precisely why we don't have an HR department. We have people operations,
Mm,
right? Because yes, your operations drives your revenue, but your people drive your operation. So how dare you not make them equal, right?
right.
And those that are making the missteps and are just trending in the wrong direction, or they just can't figure out what they're doing wrong. You're not prioritizing the right things. And when you start to prioritize your people and you set the expectation and you invest just as much in your people as you do in your marketing and your equipment and in your everything else, you will start to see the tide turn. Right. And one of the things that I did take away from Prosper last year
Mhm.
was um, the game of inches. Right. So you do not have to move mountains day by day.
Yeah.
1% better every day, right? The game of inches. What little things can you do that will compound into big impact, right? So, super great nugget. I literally use it every day and tell everybody that's willing to listen, you don't have to become a superstar overnight. You do not have to flip your business overnight. That is overwhelming and people don't believe that it can happen, right?
Was that Dr. Pogue? I'm trying to remember who talked about inches. Was that Dr. Pogue?
No, I want to say it was it Ryan Leak? I'd have to go back.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah,
have
I
to go
think so.
back and
Yep.
look, but I believe
Yeah.
it was Leak. And it's just so impactful, not even just in business or in work in your professional life. It's in your daily life.
Mm. Yeah,
1%
Kaizen,
better.
right? Yeah, I love it.
I'll share what of what you've already said has made me remember, and it's a author speaker that we like to reference frequently, and that's Simon Sinek. And he talked about in one of his books, he talks about uh, an experience in a hotel lobby coffee shop, and he was amazed by the level of hospitality engagement he got from this worker. And he was just asked him about it, like why that was amazing. What's going on here? And he talked about the support from management and the how they built into him. And then he revealed it. Oh, he also has this part-time job over here where he doesn't show up even remotely the same way. So the same person can be an A player in one business because of how they're supported compared to how they are somewhere else. And so I'm curious how that strikes you and like how you see what you do as a business and a company supporting your people as particularly different than other companies that think they do.
Well, I will be a little vulnerable here, and honest. We got into food and beverage and into QSR and the Papa John's brand, right? And then along the way, we've adopted some others, and they're worlds of difference, right? So we learn from each other, right? We knew one way and that was our way. And then as we got introduced to new brands, we got introduced to new ways. As we were able to recruit talent from other brands that are not under our portfolio, but still in the space, we learned things from our team, from our employees, right? So it was a matter of being open, and saying
Mhm.
we don't know it all, right? We are lifelong learners. What can we learn from this brand that this one doesn't have? Or how does this one excel in what we are lacking in? A lot of times you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to ask questions, be curious, be willing to learn, and be an open book. And I think that that's how I know that that's how we've gotten to where we are and how we will continue to go far because we don't know it all. And we bring our leaders along for the journey. Right. So it's not, we are not, what do they call it? Clipboard managers. We are in the field. We are understanding. One of the things that we learned early on is that we can't make decisions for the front line from the office because we don't know how that impacts their day. Right. If I've never made a pizza, how am I supposed to know if the SOPs that I'm writing in my office are right, are
Yeah.
accurate, or they make sense, right? So we are in the field, we're with them, we bring them along for the journey. We have lots of meetings, right? But those meetings include our operating managers who are our general managers, and that name is intentional, right? Because when you view yourself as an operator and as a leader of the business and as a people leader, you approach your day to day differently than somebody who just manages metrics and tasks and duties, right? So we have operating managers. We don't have general managers. Um, so we bring them along for the journey. We get in the field. We get in the trenches. It goes all the way back to the saying when we were in grade school: "I'm never going to ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself." It's just a philosophy that we live by because it makes the people feel good. It helps them to see us as people and not as somebody who that I see her name in an email or that his picture is on the wall. They know who we are. We know who they are. It's important. And one of the things that I've taken from you know I've worked for some pretty pretty grand brands and companies in the past. And one of the things that I've learned from my experience is that it's always day one. Just think about your first day of anything. You're
Yeah.
excited, everybody's excited, the room seems brighter, you're dressed, your hair is great. You ironed your pants this morning, you didn't just take them out the closet or out the drawer, right? You feel good. And if you approach every day as day one, right? You get that energy and you get that presence, and you're not getting the leftovers. You're getting the best of everybody every time because it's day one.
That makes so much sense too. I mean, where's the first place businesses typically fail their employees is onboarding. Right? It's that first impact, that first you're being seen and heard, and you're on a path,
Mhm.
or you're wandering around wondering who you're supposed to talk to during that day, and it's so distressing. Um, what I want to call out too is I think you guys are doing something very deliberate, and I noticed that as I started listening to you, somebody Chad and I used to work for or with, they used to say wisdom begins with the definition of terms, and you guys redefined the terms. You're not calling it HR, right? You're calling it people operations. That's a very deliberate decision. And I hate to say it because this is going to be mean to some of the people I know in HR, but typically HR isn't seen as your friend.
Typically not.
But yeah, like, hey, you go to them, you're going to tell them it's not going to help you. In fact, you might not want to talk to them. It is kind of the feeling that we start getting as we're working in corporate environments. And I love the idea there's some inclusivity in there, that we're here to listen, not to chart it for the company and their liabilities,
Yeah.
right?
Listen,
And
your
so
people
yeah.
structure could be an asset or it can be a liability. It's all about how you
Mhm.
approach it.
Yeah. So when you're looking at that, you even in the notes you provided us ahead of time, the idea that this isn't going to scale, right? When did you realize that when you came in and said that we have to make a shift?
We were bleeding. Uh, we would we would hire people, they wouldn't show up. They would show up maybe for a day or two and then leave. We operate in 6 different states right now, and we would look at our we rank our talent, right?
Mhm.
And we would look at our highest ranking talent and look at their retention rates and their turnover rates, and then flip it over and look at the talent that needs the most development and saw how those numbers compared, and there was an obvious correlation, right? People don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad leaders. So we owed it to them to be able to say, "Hey, I believe in you. We know you have the potential or you wouldn't be here. We are doing you a disservice by not bringing you along the journey, by not
Right.
explaining why, right? And we are a data-driven company, right? So we don't make decisions based on feelings. We don't make decisions based on what we think is to be true. We use the tools, and it is 2026, and there are tons of tools out there. So we use the tools to make data-driven decisions, and we share those insights with the team. Like, "Hey, I'm not making this up. I don't think that you lost 4 employees last week. I know you did because the data is telling me, right? So here's what we need to do, and here's why, and here's how I know for this to be true."
So so Jasmine, you mentioned before we hit record today that your organization is even advising and helping other F&B businesses get this stuff right. So you talked about what changed in the business to go from bleeding to now, but like what is the change underneath that change? What changed with the people and the leaders? What happened that you go from bleeding to now leading other organizations?
Well, I'm a tech nerd. So in the age of AI, our leadership team is small but mighty, right? And we all bring very different, unique specializations to the leadership team. And I bring that tech background. We have someone who has been in financial auditing at Big Four. We have someone who has been in operations and retail leadership for forever. And
Mhm.
then we have someone who is analytical to he probably should have been a scientist, and I'm glad he's not. I'm glad he's here to disrupt foods, but that those different levels of specialty and expertise simultaneously create silos. So when we come together and we put our minds together, we have meetings called I don't know if I can say this on this podcast, but it's get ish done. So we have get we
Yeah,
have
you can
get
say
shit
that.
done meetings, and where we sit down at the table and we literally get it done, right? And the way that we're able to do that is hey, operationally, where are your bottlenecks? What are your pitfalls? What do you need? What do you have? Finance is like, does that make sense? Can we afford that? Where are we bleeding money? Where are the holes? Where are the gaps? Right. And then me, the tech nerd, I'm like, well, there's this thing. I can build this dashboard. We can use this tool. We can do this zap. We can make this automate so that we can get rid of this. This is redundant. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't have good data. This takes too long of a report to give, and all the things, right? So we use a lot of AI to create our own reports and dashboards. The brands give us all the data that we need, right? But it's so much. So when you are literally operating and you're in the stores on the ground with your people, but you also have to make sure that you're making decisions that keep keep it afloat, right?
Right.
How do you do all of that and do it well, right? You do what only you can do, and then you figure out the tools that somebody else or something else can do, right? So we use the technology that we have. We use AI. We use, our reporting dashboards, and we've invested in the technologies of other companies that are specializing in things that help us to get to that place.
Um, you said something that really stands out, and even in the notes you provided ahead of our call today or our podcast today was that idea of getting done, right? That it's I love the idea that when you get done, that you're providing agency to your team members. Like, there's nothing more frustrating than being told, be amazing, be you, but be exactly what's inside this box. And if there's anything that you need beyond that, don't do anything or ask a question. So it sounds like you guys say you have some permission to fail and experiment within reason. Would you say that's true?
Yes. So another thing that we live by it's urgency, right? And fail
Yeah.
fast. If it's very rare that you're going to be able to break something beyond repair, right? But how much is it going to cost to drag your feet or to do nothing? Inaction is just not it's not a it's not a part of our culture, it's not a part of our fabric. We do things and we do them quickly. And because we have the data behind it, either it's going to work or it's not, but you'll never know if you don't try, right? So we get it done. We get it done with urgency and with the data to back it up. And you fail fast. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The worst that could happen is, you got to spend a little bit more time fixing it or rebuilding it, but at least you learn something from it. You learn that it will not work.
Right. And across the whole business, fewer people are going to make bad decisions than good decisions. So the business itself is probably moving quicker as a result. Is there any moment where you found so far where you have to untrain people that I can't do anything without permission mindset? Like the movie Shawshank Redemption, at the end of it, Red gets out of jail and he has to ask the guy to go to the bathroom. He's like, just go to the bathroom. It's okay. Right? Like, is there unlearning that has to happen when you come into a permissive environment like this that says, hey, you have a brain. It's okay to use it.
Yes. Yes. Most people that we bring in, we like to hire from within. So a lot of our leaders have been with us for years, but that outside talent that does come in from an environment where it was very rigid and very strict, we
Yeah.
have to tell them, like, baby, there are no training wheels. You can just fly. If we didn't think you could do it, we wouldn't give you wings, but you've got them. So fly.
I have there's a little meme in my head now. It's a little penguin. It goes, "What if I fall?" And it goes, "Oh, darling, but what if you fly?"
Absolutely.
Right? It's worth all of that. Chad?
So Jasmine, these franchisor brands that Disrupt Foods has invested in and partnered with, how do you see your brand and your team and your processes, your culture reflected in them? Like, how do they view you? How do they support you? And how do they respond to how you guys run?
Well, we have very collaborative relationships with the brands that we represent. And the support is insane. It is amazing, especially in my world because I am people, yes, but I'm also impacted partnerships. So, part of Disrupt Foods' fabric is community engagement and youth entrepreneurship. And those are also values that are aligned with our brand's foundations and their, philanthropic endeavors. So I work very closely with the foundation offices and the like to make sure that we are able to scale the ideas that are in our head to a way that reaches the community and the communities that we serve, right? So we do a lot of like brand activations, we do a lot of partnerships, and they love that, right? As long as you are operationally sound and you are well, they are more than happy to support the feel good stuff, right? And with their support and with their confidence that we are representing the brand well, we are able to do that at a scale that it makes everybody feel good, and it impacts the community and it engages the community in a way that goes beyond Disrupt Foods. Nobody knows who Disrupt Foods is. They know who Wingstop is. They know who Papa John's is, right? So it's important that we are great ambassadors for them, and it's encouraging because they support it so well.
Jasmine, thinking about this, a lot of companies say people first, and you're saying it's your operating philosophy. It's different, but what is the difference?
It is at the core of all the decisions that we make, right? So if sales are declining, if sales are improving, if a
Mhm.
store is struggling, if a market is changing, people and the operations are the first two things that we look at, right? Whether something is doing well or whether
Mhm.
something is not doing well, we always look to the people first. And then we look to ourselves. Are we in our own way? Is
Mhm.
there something that we thought was a good idea and it's having a negative impact? And when we think about making decisions before they are implemented, it's always, well, how does that affect the people, right? We recently just adopted a new HCM system, so that's payroll, that's HR, it's all the things, right? And as excited as you can imagine I was about that, it's like this is a major change on top of all
Mhm.
the other major changes that us as a franchise and the brands are doing, right? So how does that change affect our people? As much as I want to roll it out in 30 days, how is that going to affect our people, right? So I don't always get what I want. We don't always get what we want, right? Because sometimes it's not the best thing for the people. And when we say people first, we mean our team members, but also our guests, right? So is that going to impact the guest experience? You know, we are the labor is high in this store. Let's reduce it by doing whatever, right? How is that going to affect the guest? That's what we want, but is that what they want? Right? And how can we come to a happy medium, right? So when we say people first, we take the data that we have, and if we don't have it, we just invent it. We just create it, right? We literally have a people dashboard that did not exist 6 months ago, but people are important, right? And especially in this economy and in this job market, they deserve to be at the forefront of all the decisions that are made. Sometimes before, sometimes after, but they're never left out of the equation.
You're definitely ready for media. This is all good stuff.
Yeah. So I love that you're, in people operations but you have that tech hat on, and that you're even using AI in the org because AI is often accused of being bad for people or people who are implementing it don't think about the human impact. So I'm curious for you in your own org, right? Where are you most excited to see technology, AI impact in areas where historically technology didn't even play, right? Um, in a way, especially in a way that is good for the people of the team. And if it's outside the org, that's fine too. But it's just
It's
so unusual to talk to somebody
for the
in your role
for
who's
our
so key.
team. For our team, they they used to sit in one of two places. Either they didn't have access to the data, or they had access to it, and it was so confusing and so long and technical that they didn't know how to read it, so they didn't. Right. So our team just generally was less informed. Now with AI, we literally have the ability to take what our scientists used to synthesize and read and internalize and give it to our team in a way that makes sense to them, right? Hey, I know based on your schedule, you said that you were going to be in this store today, but based on the data that we got from this report, this store could use you from 9 to 11:30 a.m. and then maybe you can pivot back to your regular schedule. Here's how we know. Or based on the report that was submitted last night from store 5, you probably should visit store 7, get some products from them, and then go visit store 5 because they're running low on inventory, right? There is a world where that could never happen. We were finding out these things at the end of the period, at the end of the quarter, right? Now we have agents that are doing it overnight. And when our leaders wake up in the morning, the technology is telling them, hey, I'm really sorry to like make you pivot in your day, but here's what you should do. Here's why. And here's how I know. And that has revolutionized the way that we do business because now they're informed, now they're empowered, everybody's making the right decision, they're going where they need to be, and they're and the leaders, the store, the team, and the business are all best being served based on the technology.
I love that. I mean, Chad, we see a lot of prescriptive out there. Here's the thing you should do, but the fact that you bring that Jasmine seems bringing them along through the journey and giving them the why this activity isn't just moving a pile of dirt from one place to another for no reason. Here's what it's going to do for you and why you need to do it. I think that's fantastic because it is. And the thing we've been talking about so much lately is the idea of critical thinking when it comes to AI, because AI will suggest some stuff that might not be right. And the buck always stops with the person that took that data and then put it into action going, well, did I engage my brain to make sure it's something that really matters here? Is it doing the right steps? Um, you said, I love the language you use, Jasmine. Like you could write a book just on this stuff. So your aces only approach and the idea of no spare guests. How does that, like, no spare guests? That's a strong belief. How do you make that real when it's 5 o'clock and people are blasting the doors and it's a busy shift? How do you make that happen?
Slow down to speed up. Slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
There one bad experience is too many. Right. And
Yeah.
we thrive in a culture where the guest experience is everything. So
Hmm.
much that we don't call them customers, we call them guests. Right.
Hmm.
So how do you treat a guest in your home? That's how you treat the customers that come into our store every single time, every single one. And we're not perfect. We don't get it right every time, but we are consistent in the message. We are consistent in inspecting what we expect, right? And we practice it and preach it from the top down, right? So no matter who walks into that store, it's welcome to Wings. No matter what day you had, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what just happened in that meeting you got out of, welcome to Wingstop. How can we serve you today? Right? With a smile on your face.
I love that. Chad?
So Jasmine, Disrupt Foods made the list of top 100 Black-owned businesses in the country, and I'm curious, why was it important for you guys to share your blueprints for success with other operators versus just keeping that as a competitive advantage?
In comparison to the list of non-Black owned businesses, it's small, right? And we come from humble beginnings. We didn't come into we weren't handed this by our parents. We as they say, we got it out of the mud, right? We somewhere along the way, somebody tapped on the shoulder and gave us an opportunity. And if that opportunity had not come, we might not be where we are today. Right. And we're sensitive to that. We're also sensitive to the neighborhoods that we grew up in and the schools that we attended. Those kids sometimes look at us as if we are unattainable. Right. So it's important that people understand that this can be your future. This can be your destiny. This can be your tomorrow. We are not different. We are not different. We got an opportunity. We made a lot of mistakes. We did a lot of things right. And we're
Right.
still doing that, right? But what we are doing is tapping and giving the opportunity to others, right? So that they too can say they've made some list, they've gotten some accolade, right? We work a lot with, you would imagine we have great relationships with the other brand partners and franchisees in our area, on both brands. And some of them have 2 stores, some of them have 100 stores, right? There's some things that the 2-store franchisees can figure out because they only have 2 stores that we haven't, right? And there's some things that the 100-store franchisees have figured out because of just their by pure scale. So we share ideas, but because of that unique background that I told you about with our leadership team, we are able to do things and move a little bit faster than some others just by sheer, skill and an experience, right? So
Mm.
who are we not to share that? When somebody tapped on our shoulder and shared their genius with us, it's, hey, we've been working together for a while. I've noticed this thing. We figured it out. We created this tool that I think would be really helpful for you. Or let's grab some coffee and let's talk about, like, what's working and what's not and what's next for your business and for your franchise, and see if, there's something that we do or we have done that could help you to elevate and move it forward. Right. So that's what we do for other operators and other franchises. And then the kids is it's a whole different thing.
So, Jasmine, I think that segues nicely to the things that you guys are doing to really make an impact in your communities that you operate in, right? And yeah, I think there's a PDF that you shared with us about some of the work that you're doing, and it called out two parts of what you guys offer for your employees and others, which is through your was it through our slice and disrupt business academies. It says that you prepare youth for entrepreneurship and financial literacy. What are those all about?
So the Disrupt Business Academy is something that was born out of a partnership with the Boys and Girls Clubs. And specifically the Boys and Girls Clubs of Newark. We visit them once or twice a month, and every time we visit them, we teach them something about business, whether it's finance or marketing or the guest experience and how that's important, or quality. And they take all of that information that they learn and they prepare a business pitch, very similar to like a Shark Tank.
Oh, okay.
And then when they come back after their holiday break, their capstone project is to take everything that they learned and to produce a large scale community event. So they effectively are running a mini business over the course of 6 to 9 months based on everything that they learned in the Disrupt Business Academy. The first time they did their capstone project, it was called History in the Baking, and they attempted to break the Guinness World Record for the world's largest pizza party.
Hey now.
Mm.
While we did not break the record on paper, what they did was phenomenal. They brought out a little shy of 5,000 people for free. They raised upwards of $85,000 from community members, partners, businesses that believed in their dream, right? And it was a youth-led effort from beginning to end. Now, obviously, the adults, they're big people, help them do things and get into rooms kids couldn't do. But, you know, nothing gave me greater joy than seeing them on that day, literally standing in the Prudential Center, looking around at what they had achieved. Right?
We did
I don't
this.
think
Yeah.
that I I don't think that I had anything that was remotely comparable to how incredible what they did was when I was their age. These are kids, these are high school aged kids, so they're like 12 to 18. It's the teen club that we work with. And we work with the boys and girls clubs in New Hampshire and in Boston and in Brockton, Massachusetts, and all the way up in Bangor, Maine. So it's super special. We love working with the children. Um, they love working with us. They have requested us time and time again to renew our partnership, which
Oh, wow.
is wonderful. Sometimes kids get a bad rap these days. All they want to do is be on their phone and be on the TV, and you have youth out there that want to learn about business. They are coming up with ideas that I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing. That Why doesn't that exist today? I wish we
Yeah.
had the money and the infrastructure to give you so that we could bring your idea to life. We seem big, but we're actually pretty small in the grand scheme of things. But their ideas and their minds are big, and as long as we can help to cultivate that and to grow that and to make sure that they have an outlet to get those things out, and they understand that they have opportunity, that they
Right.
too can own and operate 30 restaurants, right? That seems
Right.
so crazy, but it really isn't, because we went to the same elementary school. We
Yeah.
graduated the same high school. We played around in the same streets, right?
Yep.
We go to the same supermarket. So it's important that representation matters and that they understand and they hear it and they feel it and they believe it, right? Everybody says it, but prove it, do it, show it,
Yeah.
be in the
Yeah.
field with them, be in the trenches with them, show them what it's like.
That's amazing, Jasmine. What is it? Somebody said, the difference between somebody who can't and can is simply one who believes that they can, right? What you're doing is fostering belief, and I think the other side of it is that some people believe all on their own, and that's a bigger lift. But what if you have a company that cares and says, "I believe because I believe in you," or "We believe in you. Your circumstances aren't special. You are not a victim. You're empowered, and you have a community around you that cares, and we will see you do this together." I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. God bless you for what you guys are doing. That is amazing.
Thank you.
Chad, you get one last question before we head into
Oh,
the power round.
right. So glad we met you, Jasmine, and I got to thank the Prosper Company because we without them and the Accelerate conference last year, we would not have met you. And we got the good news this morning that you've been invited back. So congratulations, and hope
Yes, looking
you're
forward
there.
to it.
What are you most looking forward to?
Really, it's the room. It's the room. It's the camaraderie. It's the learnings. It's the relationships. It's the stories. It's the experiences. They have nothing short of extraordinary speakers. The think tanks, the breakout sessions were great. But I think what I loved the most was getting out of my comfort zone and just talking to people, understanding who they are, where they've been, where they're going, what they've learned along the way. That Prosper conference has made for some of the best conversation that I've had in a very long time at a conference. It wasn't, a big room full of vendors where they were trying to sell you and give you sales pitches. It was a room full of like-minded people where you may not be the smartest one in the room anymore, right? If you come
Thank
from
God.
if you come from where I sit, sometimes you're put on a pedestal, and it was so great to be in a room of people that are excellent and that want to be better, right? And that don't have an ego and have a drive to take things to the next level, because those conversations are different. And that is worth everything. It's worth everything.
Wow. I dropped the mic right now, but I still have my 7 questions. All right, you ready to dive in here, Jazmine?
Yes.
Okay, these are supposed to be some fun questions that if it's too weird, you can go ahead and say pass, and that's okay. We wouldn't be the first one. Okay, so
I
you
look
ready?
forward to the challenge. Yep.
Here we go. You're a mom of 3. What's something motherhood taught you that actually made you a better operator?
Ooh, patience.
Ooh, ooh, patience. Okay, I'll take
Patience.
that.
I had none before children. And I think I expected everyone to be as passionate about everything as I am,
Yeah,
and that is not the case. I have 3 very different children,
yeah.
and they taught me to be patient.
That's a great takeaway. All right, so be honest. Who's tougher to manage? 3 daughters or a team during a Friday night rush?
Oh, the kids. The kids for sure. For sure. They are bullish. They are my children wholeheartedly, right? So they have very strong
Yeah,
opinions. They are
yeah.
independent. They are not shy. And they are athletes. So their social schedule and their practice schedule is crazier than mine. So
Mm,
they are, they require a lot. I
love
can
it.
I
All
can
right.
manage the team. I can do that with my eyes closed. These kids though, they are the ones that teach me the real lessons.
I believe that. You talk about being less precious and more resourceful. What's a scrappy decision that ended up working way better than you expected?
Huh.
Every now and then I'll do that to somebody.
Huh. I don't know that I have a good answer for that off the top of my head,
That's okay.
but it is very thought provoking and I'm not going to be able to
Okay.
sleep until I figure it out. So when I figure it
Then
out,
we're
I'm going to send it to
then
you.
I will post after we get that answer back. All right. Aces only. What's a subtle sign someone is an ace that most people miss?
That
It's probably
most
not the one kissing your butt.
No. The one that most people miss
Yeah.
is the one that listens. Listens with intent. And listens to understand and not to respond. The loudest one in the room often isn't the one that I'm paying attention to. It's the one that's scanning the room and scaling the room and looking at things and paying attention to things that have nothing to do with why they're there. They're curious, and curiosity usually is a good thing.
It's a leading indicator of intelligence too, if somebody's actually curious. All right. You believe in lifting as you climb. I love that term. What's one way operators can do that without sacrificing their own growth?
Without sacrificing their own growth.
Yeah, sometimes like there's a manager like, "Hey, that was my idea." No, it's actually the guy behind you who gave you the great idea. Or how do you make others shine the same without dimming your own light?
So we have a system that we use, and it's called Better Checks for Papa John's, and we call them Flavor Checks for Wingstop. And they literally look like your old school restaurant tickets where you like write the
Uh huh.
order on. And we make it a point that whenever a member of the leadership team visits the store, we recognize the team members, the leaders. We also start every single meeting with recognition, and it's
So
open.
this is your Legally Blonde snap cup.
It's yes. It is not given from the leadership team. It is who
Okay.
has recognition that they'd like to share today. So that can be from a team member to a
Yeah.
manager. It could be from a manager to a team member. It could be anybody to anyone. Who are we recognizing today and for what? And if that person that they're recognizing is not on the call, we make it a point to reach out. Maybe it's a short text message, maybe it's a long email, maybe we plastered it in the store, right? But it's important that everybody feels valued and recognized.
Yeah.
And
That can
that's
make their whole
free.
day better.
It's free.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. All right. If an operator is struggling right now with people, what's your blunt advice to them?
Revise your strategy. Put them first. Look
And you
look
walk into a new friend. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, look and see how those decisions affect your people. the decisions that you have or the policies that you have or the procedures that you have. Look at how it affects your people and reverse engineer and work backwards.
Love it. All right. And last question. You walk into a new franchise. What's the first red flag that tells you they're in trouble?
A new company or a new brand?
You just walk in, whether yours or otherwise, let's just say you walk into a store. What's your first sign?
Cleanliness, greeting.
Yeah, the greeting, I think, is a good one too,
The
right?
greeting and the cleanliness, and I'm not saying cleanliness as in, the paint is chipped or the rug,
Right.
not that kind of stuff. It's
Right. Is
when
the
when
dining
you
area recovered?
when you
Right.
care about something, you take pride in its appearance, just like you take pride
Yeah.
in yourself, right? So if
Yeah.
your people are not taking care of the appearance of the store, they don't care about it as much as you'd like them to.
Yeah. The spirit of core. I love it. Absolutely love
Control
it.
what you can control, and you can control if something is clean. Maybe you can't change the
Yeah.
light bulb. Maybe you can't
Yeah.
repaint the wall, but you can make sure that it's tidy and it's clean and presentable for your guests to come in and want to dine with you.
Boom. Chad, that's what we were talking about on our last on the panel. Just get the basics down. You're going to do great. Same thing. Jazmine, you're wonderful. You're a breath of fresh air. I absolutely love that we're going to hang out at Prosper coming up. I'm also thankful that I ran into you, and I definitely want the follow up on my question.
Yes.
But for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap and say with extreme gratitude for Jazmine joining us today. Jazmine, if people are interested in what you've been talking about, if they want to contact you about writing a book someday, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, what's the best way to get in a hold of you? Are you a LinkedIn person? Like, how do people contact you?
Yes. So I am Jazmine Charles on LinkedIn. You can also find me on you just email me. If you happen to stumble across my Instagram, you do, but you will see a lot of children on there. But I can be reached at my email, which will be in the show notes. Yes.
Yes,
You want it to be.
or you say it,
Okay.
either one. Yeah.
Yeah. So my email, Jazmine Charles on LinkedIn. You can also find Disrupt Foods there on LinkedIn as well as Instagram as Disrupt Foods.
Fantastic. And we already know you're going to be at Prosper coming up. There was another event that you mentioned as well that was new to me. What shows that coming up that you're going to?
It's Afrotech.
Tech. Where's that at?
That is in Houston this year. And it is the leading conference for technology. And the audience is, obviously everyone, but it really shines a light on people of color that are doing great things, that have great and thriving businesses. And it goes back to that representation matters, right? So there's tons of
Oh, yeah.
technology conferences out there. There's tons of technology businesses, but equity, representation, Afrotech.
Fantastic. Well, Jazmine, it has been a real pleasure. I also have to up my eyeglass game before the next time I see you. I'm just not as sparkly here, so I'll fix that. But for
Send you some
everybody,
recommendations.
yeah, you said you had a place you really liked too. But for everybody, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being part of our audience and letting us be part of your community as well. And joining us today for Jazmine Charles, who I think is just a fantastic leader. And I'll say the word leader. I think she's leading with heart and intentionality, and this is more we need to see in the world. But for now, this is ChatGTM podcast. Chad, Jazmine, and Beck signing off. We'll see you guys on the next one. And as always, random acts of kindness. Sprinkle that stuff everywhere. You never know whose day you're going to make better. Just like Jazmine made our day better. Spend some time with us.
Oh,
We'll see you guys later.
Thank you. Bye.